Hi, my name is Melissa Weekly. This is my presentation that I would give at our school's PD or at a faculty meeting about the importance of communicating with the parents of ELL students. So our school has a population with demographics involving 24% of our students are Hispanic and come from Hispanic families, 21% are Spanish speaking at home, 8% English is not their first language, and 60% come from low-income households. I chose to include the 60% of low-income households because it has to do with sometimes the school involvement, whether parents are working multiple jobs or whether they're able to be at home helping out, and that kind of goes into whether communication is something that's easy to do with them. So some common biases about ELL families. So first, unconscious bias, what is it? These are social stereotypes that we form about certain groups of people based on our tendency to really organize into different social categories. We don't understand that we're doing these things, and it happens unconsciously. So things that we sometimes say or think about ELL families that are biased, and not necessarily, they can be explicit or implicit. We say things like, they won't be able to understand anyways, so sometimes why bother? These families do not value education. These families don't wish to be involved. These students aren't as intelligent as the English-speaking students in the class. These families don't reach out, so they must not care. And these parents cannot help their child with schoolwork. So these are things that we sometimes say or feel, whether we really realize it or not. So here's some strategies about getting started. Number one, learn about the population that you have. Learn where they come from. Learn whether they're intermediate or beginner in the English language, because that will make a huge difference. Integrate cultural traditions of the families throughout the entire school community. So find out different holidays that they do. Incorporate those. Incorporate books about the Hispanic community. Get those all involved in your classroom. Create a welcoming environment for families, so have things posted in Spanish and in English. Really provide a way for when parents and families come in that they feel like they're welcomed and that they're included. Make a personal connection with families. I'm a big advocate for the first thing that you say should always be positive. So at the beginning of the year, reach out to all families, whether it is a face-to-face connection, a handshake, a wave, whatever it is, to really get that personal connection started. And then show that you value the family's native language. Show them that they can still use that language here at school. It's important that they still use it at home. Don't try to strip them away from that at all. So strategies for communicating important information. Find ways to communicate with these ELL parents. Really find your ELL and bilingual educators, because these people are going to be your biggest allies in the translation process. Encourage phone calls home also. So even though you might be calling and leaving a message in English, that still means a lot more than not reaching out at all. Because the parents, even if you leave a message, they will have the child translate it or an English-speaking relative translate it. And that's still much more beneficial, and you're still putting the effort to communicate whether or not you hear anything back. Also, provide opportunities for these parents to learn more about certain topics. So always creating a newsletter. Make sure there's a Spanish version of everything sent home. Our school could offer workshops on like basic general topics and provide reading resources, provide parents with answer keys that are in Spanish. The Color In Colorado has a lot of reading resource strategies. Even just branching out and giving those resources to parents will mean a lot. So for parent participation, it's possible. You want to make an early attempt to communicate with these parents. Look for ways that they can help in their child's schoolwork, whether you tell them to just sit and listen to them read, whether they are practicing their spelling words. It's still possible for them to be able to communicate with them and help on their schoolwork. You just have to point out what they can do effectively. Also look for ways that these parents can volunteer and participate in your classroom, whether they're coming and reading a book, whether they're sharing something about their culture, whether they're just helping you out. Provide multiple ways, and they don't have to want to do them, but just providing them means a lot. Also look for their successes, for the family and for the student. Parents don't only want to hear the bad things, just like any other child. They want to hear the good things as well. Remember, at the end of the day, we're all one team, and we all want the same thing, and we want these students to succeed. Thanks.